Bank job or IT job? Which one is better? I made a recent poll on this on my channel, and over 10,000 of you voted for the bank job. Now, I used to think that people think that the grass is greener on the other side, so I had expected a little different poll result. But yeah, it was quite interesting. So let's explore this question, shall we? Let's dig a little deeper and let's see which one should you actually prefer. Hi, this is Supriyo. So we have an interesting topic today. We are going to compare bank jobs to IT jobs. Now, let me first make it very clear about the types of jobs that we are going to actually compare today. So the bank jobs, by bank jobs, I mean all the public sector bank jobs. Okay. So I'm not talking about any other private bank jobs over here. Only the public sector banks, the ones for which you have all these examinations, the SBIPO, the IPPS examinations, etc. So those types of jobs. And I'm going to compare it with the IT jobs. Now again, IT here, it means IT services. So this should be understood. I am not talking about any IT product company. Now people who are from IT, they will be understanding this. Product companies, they operate very differently from the service companies. So the service companies are the companies like TCS, you have Wipro, we have the CTS, Accenture, etc. etc. So all these companies, they have their product wings, but primarily they are actually IT service company. So these are the companies that I am going to talk about, and since I have experience from both sides, I feel that I can add some value and I can help you understand, because I get this type of question a lot these days. So first I want to analyze three unique pillars. So what are the unique pillars for each job? Now let us talk first about the unique pillar for your bank job. For your bank job, I feel that there are three most important considerations that you have to take into account. So the first thing for bank job, it is the security. So this is one of the most important things of a bank job, which is the security. If you get a job over here, then you can rest assured that it's not going to be taken away and you're not going to be laid off. And I feel that this is something that people overlook sometimes, but it is actually quite crucial. And that is why all these days we have the privatization news. So that is a very negative aspect of the bank jobs, because security is the reason that people want these PSB jobs. So if you take away security, I think the main thing itself, it is going to crumble. And the second thing is that the bank job, it is a job for life. So this is actually very suited for those type of people who don't want to switch their job too much and they want to stay in one place for a long amount of time. You don't want to worry about whether tomorrow you have to switch to a new company, or there are some kind of other kinds of things waiting in front of you, hidden things. So if you don't want to worry about that, if you want to remain in one job your entire life, then bank job, it actually makes sense for you, the PSB job. Now understand that I do not recommend this, the job for life concept. I don't think it actually is very good in 2021. It is an outdated concept and you should always be open to actually exploring more and more options. So remember that this might not be something that is going to be true in the days to come. So these are the important considerations that you have to keep in mind. But ultimately, if you want a job where you feel that you are going to stay there till retirement, then a bank job might be very good. The third important aspect is your transfers. So you have to be ready for transfers whenever you are joining a PSB. Now, if you are joining in the clerical cadre, then you don't have to worry too much. But I assume that everybody watching this video, they want to become officers, they want to grow in their careers. And if that is something that you want, then of course you have to actually be prepared for the transfers. So this is something that you cannot really avoid in a bank job. You have to be transferred to various places, and even the clerical staff, they will be transferred from one branch to another, even in the same state, sometimes in a branch which is not that good. And this is a part of the PSB life, and you cannot really change it. And along with this, I think there's another thing, that you have to be interested in finance. So you have to be somebody who is actually excited by numbers. And the next thing is that you should also be ready for taking on some risk, right? So the bank job, it always has some risk. There is some financial risk involved, and you are actually overseeing lakhs and most of the times crores of sums, and that is why it is a very risky type of a job. You can't make mistakes. So if you are not very careful, then it can cost you very dearly. So these are the things that are, I feel, very unique to the bank job. And now if you talk about the IT job, so for the IT job, what are the unique things that you have to be ready about? So here the first aspect I would like to talk about is on-site opportunities. opportunities. So we all know that IT jobs have great on-site opportunities. So you can travel to America, you can travel to Europe, etc., etc. There are branches of these IT offices everywhere, and this is, I think, one of the main draws, because initially when you enter, the salary isn't that good, but once you get an on-site posting, and if you can get a sustained on-site posting, some companies they have it, they don't have those cool off times, then it can be very, very useful for you. And if you are really excited to go out of India and explore some other culture, then it is something that is really nice, I have to say. And the second thing is the aspect of switching. Now you have to be ready to switch jobs. Whenever you are in IT, you cannot remain loyal to one company for a long amount of time, then it is only going to hurt you. This is how IT operates. Now if you are switching easily, you can get about 40 to 50% hike. Now that's quite something that people get, but if you are good at bargaining, even 60%, and I have seen up to 100% hikes for people. So it's quite possible that your salary will be going very, very high after a few years if you are switching a few companies. Now you have to be very calculated about it, and that is something that you have to learn as you go through your career. And the third thing that you have to remember for the IT, it is that it is a fixed kind of a job, so there are not that many transfers. Of course you can go abroad and you might get posted to some other cities or something like that, but usually by and large you will be in the same office for a long time, so you don't have to worry about the transfers bit. So that is something that is quite nice. And the other thing is that you have to be interested in the tech side, you have to be interested in IT, because initially you can join IT company without that many skills, but if you don't upgrade your skills, then down the line it is going to be very, very difficult for you. So remember that you have to upgrade your skills so that you can stay relevant in an IT company, and that is something that it is very important that you don't forget. And now coming to the salary aspect. So for the salary aspect, we all know that in the bank jobs, the starting salary of a bank job in a PSB, so it is actually very high. So the starting salary, it is quite high, but the salary growth as you go through the stages, as you get promoted, that growth is not that much. And here in the IT company, the starting is quite low. So in the IT company, the starting section, you are going to get sometimes as low as like 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs per year, or like in the range of that, maybe 5 lakhs per year, something like that. But it's going to be quite low, sometimes half as that of the PSB jobs. But remember that the salary aspect, it depends on a lot of factors, and in a short few years in IT, you can actually increase your salary quite high. Now it all depends upon your skills, remember. So you have to keep upgrading your skills, because if you don't have the requisite skills, then you are not going to be able to survive. And the corporate life, so the totally corporate environment where it's a dog eat dog kind of a world, that's the world of IT. And so you have to be very sharp, otherwise if you lose your edge, then it can be very difficult to survive. And now coming to the posting aspect, so we already talked about this posting aspect. You are not going to be transferred in the IT jobs, but in bank jobs you can be transferred anywhere in India, so you have to be ready for that. In IT, the interesting thing is that you're only going to get in cities, right? So only city postings in the IT, but in the banking jobs you can get some kind of a rural posting as well. So in a small village you can be posted where there's not even a good place to hang out, to eat or something. So that thing also happens in the bank job. So that is something that you have to be ready with. And about the promotions, now something very important about the promotions in IT, as you get promoted, so as you go like through the stages, you become like associate consultant, senior consultant, etc. in the IT company, your kind of risks, they actually quite increase, because when you are drawing that much of salary, your IT company will always try to somehow extract that value out of you. So whenever you are getting promotions, first of all, getting promotions is very difficult, because in IT they have something called the bell curve. So in the bell curve, they will actually rate you, and intentionally when you are actually in the higher end of the scale, your rating will not be that high, so that your salary increase doesn't happen that much. So that is what they do. This is another altogether a new story, and I don't want to get into that, but you can just see some examples like people in their 40s who are in IT and who are not actually having that high amount of skills. They were recently laid off by many companies, and even during the COVID times we have seen like some restructuring has happened in the IT companies, and it's quite sad to see that many deserving candidates, they are also losing their jobs. Now this is because of the policy that IT has, that they are going to reduce the costs at any cost, and so they are going to take lots of freshers, and the old guard they are going to let go. So that is how it happens. So it's a pyramid structure. At the top
top of the pyramid if you have to be, then you have to be the best of the best of the best. But at the bottom of the pyramid, you can survive quite easily. So IT is a great place to start your career, but it's very difficult as you get promoted. But coming to the banks, so in the promotion aspect, I would say that banks are quite good because your salary, it doesn't increase that much, but you do not have to worry about the promotions that much, because if you do your work, if you meet your targets, then you will get promoted. That is something that I have seen people are getting promoted, at least up to AGM level you are going to get promoted. After that, it is about your connections, etc., etc., all the various kinds of things. Many other factors come into play, but usually you can get promoted up to an AGM level without any much hassle. But of course, the road is not easy. You have to achieve your targets. But in IT, what happens is, even if you are achieving targets, sometimes you are not promoted on time. So this is something that banks are good at, and I would suggest that when you are looking at the promotions, like even if you go to higher scales in a bank, there is not some risk that they are going to just lay you off. You have to of course perform, but there's not that much risk. And from the AGM level, I feel that your salary aspect, it goes quite high these days because of something called cross selling. So because of cross selling, so it is a pyramid structure again. So all the branches which you are heading as the AGM, so from all branches you are going to get some amount of commission, and that is why when you reach the AGM level, your salary prospects, the things, the perks other than salary, they increase quite a lot. So that is something that you have to remember. Now coming to the next thing about the work-life balance. So work-life balance, I would suggest that these days IT equal to bank in this aspect, at least, because IT, I know it's very, very strenuous, but in bank also, when you are going to higher scales like scale 2, scale 3, it can be very, very strenuous. So this is something that you cannot really escape, and I would suggest that if you are looking only at the work-life balance, then it is a tie basically, because ultimately you have to just deliver all the things that have been asked of you, and you have to just get all your targets done, and for that you have to stay behind. Now about the work-life balance, there is one extra thing that I want to tell you, is that if your skills, they are quite high, then you can kind of have some kind of magic in this department, because I know of some people in IT who are not really spending that much time at the office, and I know that this might come as a surprise. Maybe some of you working in IT have seen these people. So these people are ultra high skilled. Okay, so ultra high skilled people in IT services companies, they are very rare, because most of the people, I would say 95% of the IT workforce, they are not that skilled. But there is that cream, that 5% cream, who are extremely skilled. So they will be knowing about the platforms, they will be knowing about all the inner workings of the project, and because of that ultra high skill, they can leverage it, and they can actually reduce their working hours. I know of people who have actually spent like maybe 4 or 5 hours per week in the company. So they actually came to office for only 5 to 6 hours, and then they get their work done. They do so good work that nobody can question them, and again next week they're coming. So this is a kind of a thing that I have seen in IT, and even in the bank, if you have good connections, if you are very good, very strong with the unions, and you are doing lots of great work, then also you can leverage this and you can reduce your working hours. Now these are things which are not that much ethical, and it's a totally separate story. So someday maybe I will discuss more about it. But yeah, I will tell you that work-life balance, it is not set in stone. If you are really good at your job, then magic can happen. And yeah, someday we are going to talk about it. Now coming to the types of colleagues, so this is another thing that I feel that people forget. So only after entering the bank you will understand that the types of colleagues that you will see in a PSB, so they are mostly middle-aged or older people, because these days, of course, these days many young people are joining, but most of the times in the branches you're going to meet very old people. But in the IT companies, you are going to meet young people all the time. So in IT companies, there's a lot of partying, and you'll go out to eat, maybe you'll go out clubbing or something like that. So it's a very fun atmosphere in the IT companies, I will tell you. But in the PSBs, it is a little bit more boring. So you are going to have to deal with only old people, and you are not really going to feel young anymore in the PSB. So it happened to me. I don't know your experience. comments. Maybe you can write it down if some of you are facing this. But I felt somehow that I was not being able to socialize that well. I was not meeting young people, so it was a bit frustrating for me in this department. But yeah, this is something that happens in the banks. And about the social status, now this is also something that is very important for many people. So personally for me, I don't really care about social status, about what other people think. And I saw that when I was in SBI, everybody used to treat me with respect. So if my mom and dad told somebody that I am actually a SBI officer, so they would be very impressed. They would be like, oh wow, your son is a SBI officer, like that is something huge. But when they told that I was a IT guy, so it was not that impressive. So if you are in the marriage market or something like that, and you want some good connections with people and everything, so go for it. Like it's going to increase your social status quite high. So that's something that's a plus in your bank jobs. And finally, if you ask me personally about my personal opinion, now this is totally my personal opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, but I have seen both the things, right? I have been in TCS, I have been in SBI, so India's largest IT company and India's largest bank. So I've seen both the sides, and I feel based on my experience, I would choose the bank. If you gave me a choice between the IT and the bank, so I would choose the bank because I feel that there's a lot more independence in the bank. I think that I was valued a lot more in the bank. In the IT company, I felt like a cog in a wheel, but in the bank, I could actually do significant things. I was somehow feeling much more enriched in life. And I have, of course, left both the jobs, and I don't really regret leaving both the jobs. So that's something that I have done. But even though I have actually left both the jobs, I would say that I would still choose a banking job over an IT job, because I felt that somehow after seeing all the pros and cons, it was much better to be in a bank. And I have actually made a full video on the SBI PO pros and cons, so if you want to watch it, you can go check out that video. I think it's going to help you understand about these things much more, and you are going to get a deeper insight. I think another negative aspect of the bank is that you are always dealing with customers, and there's too many customers in a branch. But these days that aspect has reduced quite a lot for some officers, because there are other cells where you can work. So these things keep on changing, and after all, like everyone's personal experience differs. So if you have some personal experience in this matter, if you want to put your thoughts, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'll be happy to read them. And that is all for this video. I hope that you learned something from this and that it was beneficial to you. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the like button and share it with your friends. If you want to see more of this kind of content, please click on the subscribe button, and do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.